Hello, it's Andrew Wakelin here, the McArdle's coordinator for AGSD-UK and the originator of the walking courses, which we've run since 2010. We're now rebranding this the McArdle's experience to get over the fact that these courses are much more than just walking. It's really about learning and sharing about McArdle's and some other muscle GSDs. It really started when we did a walk called Walk Over Wales, a fundraising and awareness raising event in 2010, when we walked 210 miles across Wales from north to south. It was the first time that I'd walked for an extended period with people with McArdle's. And between us, we came up with the concept of these courses to try to help spread knowledge and the benefits of this sort of exercise to other people affected by McArdle's. And perhaps a spin-off of the event was that it really started to change the mind of many experts on the condition who previously would say that people with McArdle's had no endurance. The concept of the course is very clear. These bullet points set out what we're really trying to achieve. It's good management of the condition for life, not just for walking. Being able to manage the condition with all the tips and tricks that we have. Improving aerobic fitness. Finding any bad habits that people have. By walking together for the week, we come across things that people have picked up the wrong way of doing things, and we can correct those. And to extend people's boundaries so that they feel more confident in what they can achieve when they're back home. So they're gained in confidence and hopefully start to find walking enjoyable and establish it as a habit. So what's actually involved on the course? So far we've run them as 1 week residential courses, all staying together in a suitable base, out in the countryside, very often in Wales, in the mountains. It's the opportunity to meet people with McArdle's. Very often people who've come on the courses have never in their lives met anybody with McArdle's before. So to spend a week with a group of people with McArdle's is really quite mind-blowing. It's a very understanding and supportive atmosphere, not just from the leaders, but also, of course, from the other participants in the course. We have rules of the road which make it safe for people and give them confidence. So they know, for instance, that we always go at the pace of the slowest. So if somebody needs to stop, we'll all stop, and we don't make a fuss about it. We just carry on chatting or whatever and wait patiently, and when that person's ready to go, we move off again. So we usually have daily walks, but the amount that each person does is up to them. We have lots of opt-out points. We have a support car to pick people up if necessary. And during these walks, we can cover all the strategies and techniques. So we've had a very wide range of people. You can see the ages from 5 to 69, and they've come from 18 different countries around the world. So there's all sorts of people of all sorts of experience with McArdle's, some very newly diagnosed, some that have been diagnosed for decades. And in fact, we've had 2 people so far with GSD-7. Here you can see a group having a little discussion about something, and I think you can probably see from the photograph we're actually laughing. Very often problems and things can be quite entertaining.
It's a pretty cool experience to be able to say, hey, this is when my muscles are hurting, or the other day when we were making pizza and you were holding the plate and you said, hey, my McArdle's is really kicking in. you know, I need to put this down, you know, to be able to just have everyone understand, like, oh, okay, and not freak out about it is the other thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's to say, like, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. It's not a dangerous situation. It's just you have to adjust. You have to adapt a little bit. Just change a couple things here and there.
So it's really important to know that we can have these one-to-one tutorials, both back at base. Obviously, we have the time that we're there in the evenings. So at base and along the route, we can be able to address people's questions either in the group or individually. It's very much about sharing. So here we have an 11-year-old who came with his mother from the US and met people with McArdle's for the first time. One of the people with GSD-7 who's been on the course found that this quote here, "You pushed me to my limits, but not beyond." That was really great, that people can explore their limits and yet feel safe that they're not going to hurt themselves. This was a particular challenge that we did one day. It was a place going down off a headland to a bridge to an island where there was a lighthouse, and it was 405 steps. And of course, people thought, no, I can't possibly do that, because we were going to go down and then back up. But there were 9 of us there, and everybody did it. And when I got up to the top again, I found everybody standing around chatting about how much they had enjoyed it. It's really about the technique, about being prepared to go slowly, to stop when you needed to know how long to stop for, etc. Of course, it's a big social thing as well as the actual training and the walking. It's very much a social thing to be together for the week. So we cater together, we eat together, we're together in the evenings. There's lots of sharing and exchanging of stories. Remember, this is from people from different countries, different backgrounds, different ages. So it's a really positive thing, and many people keep in touch later on after the course. We actually labelled it at one time level and downhill walking, making the point, that we appreciate people's need to be able to walk in a way that's not too challenging. So you can see the inset photograph is on an old railway line, so that's level. And very often we can do things that drop us off at a high point and walk downhill. And typically that would be the first walk of the week, would be level and downhill. But lo and behold, people start wanting to go uphill. They want to get to a summit. They want a challenge. And so here you can see people in the rain slogging uphill, but actually enjoying it and knowing that they're getting to achieve something that they thought perhaps they would never achieve. But under the guidance, they start to realize what they can do. So these are very positive experiences usually for the week. I'm not saying that nothing ever goes a little bit awry, but it's generally very, very positive. And it's reinforced by being in perhaps beautiful settings or unusual settings. Here we are on the Menai suspension bridge, crossing between Anglesey and North Wales. Quite a stunning sort of place, and it really fixes things in your mind about what you've learnt and how much you've enjoyed it. So we've got 14 people in 1 week, and I think that's going to give a lot more interaction between everybody to swap experiences and so on. And the other thing that we've done is to widen the sphere of people's abilities, the range of people's abilities. so that we've got people who really are not used to walking hardly at all. You know, they can get into second wind, but they're not walking any great distance, through to people who are up to walking and climbing mountains. And so we're going to be tailoring our walks to suit both, or the whole range of abilities. Take today, for example, we did a 5-mile walk, but we had opt-out points at almost every half mile to start with, and then the last section was a bit more committing. It was about another 2 miles where there wasn't an opt-out. So some people stopped at one point, and then another 2 stopped at another point, and were able to be picked up by the support car, and then everybody else did the complete 5 miles. And the first walk of the week was a relatively easy, generally downhill walk on a lane first of all, and then a forestry track, and finishing up on a short bit of road, so that it was not going to challenge anybody. And I think everybody had a great time. We had really good scenery, fantastic weather, sun was shining, and yet there was a nice cool breeze, so we weren't overheating.
Although based in Wales, we have actually run courses elsewhere, in Martha's Vineyard on the east coast of America, and California on the west coast. And in fact, a doctor in Italy has run some courses there for Italian patients. And we really hope to extend this. It's quite difficult to achieve. You've got to get the leaders and the suitable locations, and scout out the routes, and have suitable accommodation. So it's quite complex to set up, but we're going to be trying to push that forward. Back in 2015, we started a special event for children and parents. So this is for diagnosed children, and we've had children from age 5 up to 18, when obviously they're then adult, and occasionally with siblings, and usually just one parent. Sometimes both can come. And this is really good for children to meet other affected children and make friends. And we've run that each year since we started it. Very often the children have returned year on year, so that they've made good friendships with other children who are affected, and they're able to learn all these techniques from a very early age, and treat McArdle's as being not a big deal at all. And they also see examples from older youngsters and adults, so that they get a good example of how other people are managing their condition. Of course, on both the adult course and the children and parents event, there's a great focus on all the tips and tricks, things from the 101 Tips book. I've just listed a few there: the zigzag, 30 for 80, 6-second rule, and of course using the walking poles. Ironically, in this photograph we don't have anybody using walking poles, but you know, this is the sort of thing that we can teach people, and they can really understand it rather than just read it in a book or on a website. IamGSD believes that it's necessary to get the average age of diagnosis below age 10, because at that point it's so much easier to get on the right path of activity, to learn the techniques, to accept the condition as just being one of those things, like having to have glasses or having ginger hair or whatever it is. It's just one feature of you, and you learn to manage it. So these sort of children and parents events very much tie in with our objective of getting the age of diagnosis down. Here's a group of McArdleites, and there's 2 imposters in there. At the back, the right-hand side of the back row, is Jeremy Michelson, who's one of the founders of IamGSD, and he's got GSD-7, one of the two people who've been with GSD-7. And next to him is Dr. Ros Quinlivan, who runs the UK McArdle's clinic and has visited the courses several times. It's a really good opportunity, obviously, for people to talk to her with her expertise, but also for her to see the real impact of McArdle's in real life. And everybody else in the photo has got McArdle's. There is the potential on these courses to actually do some research, not formal sort of peer review published research, but starting things off, trying things out in a sensible and safe way. And we actually did this on an event back in, I think it was 2015, when 6 people on the event were on a ketogenic diet, and we were able to contrast them to other people on the same event, and they could contrast to past years. They'd been on the course before, and they found that with the ketogenic diet, it wasn't a difficulty to start uphill right from the beginning of the walk, which normally we would avoid like the plague with McArdle's. And also that they felt as though they were in permanent second wind. And so this information was able to be fed back into the clinicians and the researchers, and there is now developing research on low carbohydrate ketogenic diet. So just looking to the future, watch out for details of the courses for 2022. Obviously, also watch out on our website if we manage to get courses in other countries. We're trying to make it as accessible as possible for everybody, and we're considering shorter durations so that people don't have to feel they've got to commit to a whole week. So there we go. That's it. Thank you very much. That is the McArdle's experience.